Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, or welcome back to my podcast if you are listening to this episode in the audio version only. My name is Rex, I'm a Western tropical astrologer, and today we are going to be talking about your February horoscopes. Yes, and I'm very excited because everyone's going out of retrograde in February. That's why I'm so excited. Venus is going to be direct, Mercury goes out of retrograde, Uranus already went out of retrograde in January, so that helps. And also because most of February is Aquarius season, which is my season as well, as an Aquarius sun. I claim it. But before we start analyzing the astrology of February, let's talk about a few other things. If you want to work with me, if you want to book a consultation, if you want to book a reading, you can find me on my website, which is writteninthestars-astrology.com. That is writteninthestars-astrology.com. That is the only place on the internet where you can purchase readings and consultations from me. I will never message you or comment to ask you to WhatsApp me for a reading. I know there have been some scammers around. Please don't engage with them, block them, report them. The only place where you can, again, purchase a reading from me is via my website. And currently, if I'm not mistaken, the waiting time for a live Zoom consultation is around 6 weeks. It's a little bit longer than that for the audio recorded readings only, but alas, if that's something that you're interested in, I do strongly believe that it is worth the wait. It's not something that you get every day. It's something that you get once a year, at best, a yearly forecast. So I do believe it is indeed worth waiting for a bit longer. February, folks. February is very heavy on Aquarius and Capricorn energy still, and also a little bit of Pisces energy. So let's go through the major events, astrological events of the month. On the 4th of February, the Sun conjuncts Saturn in Aquarius. On the 15th of February, the Sun is going to square the north node of the Moon. On the 1st of February, we have a new moon in Aquarius at 12 degrees. And on the 16th, we have a full moon in Leo at 27 degrees, 59 minutes. On the, let's see. On the 4th of February, Mercury goes out of retrograde. Yay! We survived. On the 11th of February, Mercury conjuncts Pluto once again, and it will also trine the North Node. On the 14th of February, Mercury moves back into Aquarius because as it was going retrograde, it ingressed into Capricorn. On the 25th of February, Mercury squares Uranus. Definitely not a good day to be on the road, and also not a good day to make travel-related plans that are quite rigid because there's probably going to be disruption. What's Venus doing in February? Well, it's direct, which is great. It's still moving through Capricorn. On the 16th of February, it's forming an exact conjunction with Mars. And on the 24th of February, it is sextiling Neptune. I love this. This is such a good day for a date. It's such a great day for romance. It's such a great day for sensual pleasures and for escaping reality using romance, I was about to say, but also using sensual pleasure. What's Mars doing in February? Well, Mars is moving through Capricorn for the entire month, for the entire duration of the month. On the 4th of February, it is sextiling Jupiter. On the 6th of February, Mars is going to be squaring Chiron. On the 8th of February, Mars is going to be trining Uranus in Taurus. I really, really like this day because it feels like we're making a very important win in the 3D external material reality. And on the 23rd of February, Mars is sextiling Neptune. And last but not least, Jupiter on the 18th of February is forming an exact sextile with Uranus. Jupiter is obviously moving through Pisces, and it is very nicely aspecting the planet of revolution and innovation. I think I've missed one thing. Let's see. Very important. Yes. Forgive me, Pisces out there. On the 18th of February, the sun moves into Pisces, and it officially kicks off Pisces season for the next 4 weeks. Let's dive into the update for each zodiac sign, because I know this is what you are here for. If you know what your rising sign is, what your ascendant is, the ascendant is the exact degree of the rising sign, please only listen to that update, because that's essentially the closest that you're going to get to getting a personalized forecast. I did get a very interesting question from a client who booked a year ahead forecast reading with me, and they asked me if I do forecasting using a rising sign or sun sign. Well, when I deliver a personal reading to you, that is based on your entire natal chart. So that's when I look at the transits activating your natal planetary placements. I look at the placements of your own natal planets in the various houses and how they interact with the planets moving in the sky. I also use other forecasting techniques in addition to transits, such as annual perfections and secondary progressions, sometimes also solar arc directions. But the closest that you're going to get to, resonating, let's say, with the general horoscope, such as this, because this is a general horoscope, this is not a personalized reading, is by listening to the update for your rising sign. The rising sign is the lens through which you filter reality. If you don't know your rising sign, listen to your sun sign, but if you know your rising sign, you can completely forget about anything and everything else. So I hope that clears things up for people out there. My dear Aries suns and Aries risings in particular, what does February look like for you? Well, there's a lot going on in your 11th house this month. In the 11th house of plans for the future, of friends, of collaborators, of alliances. The month actually kicks off on the 1st of February with a new moon in your 11th house, 3 days before, 3 days after, conjunct Saturn, and squaring Uranus in Taurus in your 2nd house. Now, this sounds like a bit of a tense aspect, and it is. However, there is a little bit of sweetness added into the mix by the trine between Uranus and Venus and Mars in Capricorn in your 10th house of career. So what can you expect from this new moon? New moons are obviously new beginnings. It's time to kick off a new chapter of development in your life, a chapter of collaborating with a wider group of people, most likely, on a lucrative project, but maybe a project that isn't, let's say, allowing you to necessarily take the lead, which would be something that you're more comfortable with. It is asking you to, in a way, submit to the will of the people, of the group, of the collective. And there seems to be also a little bit of discrepancy between your values and how you see things and the values of the wider group of people that you're working with. Nevertheless, it does seem to be a group type of project that will help you grow career-wise, and that will help you most likely draw positive attention in the long run from bosses, from people in positions of authority, and so on. And you do seem to be able to make money off of it, which is great. Another possibility is the following, my dear Aries. You may hear something like a piece of news coming from your tribe, from your circle of friends, from a friend also. You may hear a piece of news related to their career, and maybe this piece of news is bringing a little bit of sadness in your life, because you probably won't get to see them as much or spend as much time with them as you used to spend with them. However, you still seem to be happy for them, if that makes sense. It is also a time for you, Aries, to reevaluate your long-term plans for the future and most likely set a new goal for yourself. You seem to be maybe not necessarily super happy I'm not saying that you're in a bad place, but there's room for improvement. You don't seem to be super happy about how things are going for you financially, or maybe you think you could do better, and you probably you're going to set for yourself some very tough goals. But if anyone has the grit to fulfill these, it's gonna be you. On the 4th of February, I love the fact that Mercury goes out of retrograde, yay, finally, in your 10th house of career, so it feels like things are moving forward career-wise. It feels like you are having clarity as to where you're headed next, career-wise. If you have been experiencing in the past 3 weeks miscommunication with bosses, that's kind of like clearing up as well. And also, we have on the same day a sextile between Mars in your 10th house of career and Jupiter in Pisces in the 12th house. It looks like you are finally obtaining a win career-wise. How? Maybe you've been battling a difficult client. Maybe you've been dealing with an unexpected opponent or an adversary from the past in a career environment. Maybe you've had to wrestle with possibly like a contractor or a client on the topic of money, and it felt like an uphill battle in terms of reaching some sort of agreement. Well, it looks like you win. And if there's one sign that loves to win, it is you, Aries. It looks like you're winning the conflict or the war or the battle. And you seem to win exactly when you probably released attachment to the outcome. I love that sextile from Mars to Jupiter in your 12th house, which is great. 8th of February, Mars in Capricorn in your 10th house is exactly trining Uranus in Taurus in the 2nd house of income. It looks like you're getting paid at this point in time. It also looks like possibly, you're starting something fresh career-wise that is bringing in more money your way. You could welcome into your life a new source of income. You could also receive a positive response if you asked for a raise from a boss at this point in time. On the 11th of February, this is my birthday. Yes, folks, yes. Don't say I didn't tell you about it. Please don't forget to wish me a happy birthday. I'm obviously kidding. Of course, you have other things to do. On the 11th of February, Mercury is conjunct Pluto and Capricorn in the 10th house. You have experienced this same aspect. Let's see when. On the 29th of January. So you're dealing with a similar energy one more time. Mercury conjunct Pluto and Capricorn in your 10th house can bring to the surface maybe a hidden element that was possibly keeping you from advancing career-wise. You might also, for instance, talk things out with a boss. Maybe discuss something that was difficult, something connected maybe with your daily duties and responsibilities. So it looks like you're tackling a difficult topic. But the good news is that Mercury is out of retrograde. You know what you're dealing with. There can be new information coming to the surface. Your boss might also have some sort of secret to reveal to you. Maybe something that they didn't reveal up until this point. On the 14th of February, Mercury moves back into Aquarius in your 11th house for the next 3 weeks. So there's probably going to be a lot of communication, a lot of maybe phone calls and even meetings, casual meetings with friends. I like that. I really like the energy of Mercury through Aquarius. And on the 16th of February, 3 days before, 3 days after, you have a full moon triggering your 5th house, 11th house axis. The full moon is happening in the 5th house, and it is reflecting themes that came to your attention at the new moon in Leo in 2021. That happened on the 8th of August. So have a think about what you started in terms of romance, in terms of creative endeavors, in terms of passions or hobbies around the 8th of August, because that seems to be reaching a culminating moment around the 16th of February. I like the fact that Jupiter in Pisces will be trining Uranus and Taurus in your second house. And I like the fact that Venus and Mars are conjunct in Capricorn in your 10th house of career at the time of the full moon. So you could be presenting a creative project to a wider audience. You could be receiving, very likely, fantastic feedback. It also feels like you're reaching a point of fulfillment romantically in your life, my dear Aries. For those of you who have children, this can be a day of great news and a period of great news in terms of what's happening in the life of your children. Certainly, if you do have children, you seem to be spending a lot of time with them around this time and feeling very lucky to be with them. I gotta say, I'm really liking the energy of this full moon. I would also recommend, maybe, possibly, if you can, to set some time aside for romance and for doing the things that you love to do. It's a good time to give yourself some time off. On the 18th of February, the sun moves into Pisces in your 12th house for the next 4 weeks. This is a period of time to allow yourselves to focus on maybe what gives you a sense of, what brings a sense of peace into your life, to prioritize introspection, to also maybe possibly plan a vacation away with your loved ones, because the sun rules your 5th house of romantic love and children. And I like the fact that on the 18th of February, Jupiter in Pisces in your 12th house, let's see. It is sextiling Uranus in Taurus, exactly. By the way, I remember that at the full moon, I said that Jupiter in Pisces was trining Uranus. That is incorrect. Please forgive me. I am filming this when Mercury is retrograde. So the aspect between Jupiter and Uranus is exact on the 18th of February. This could bring an unexpected sum of money into your life. It could also bring an opportunity for you to increase your income by doing something behind the scenes. And you seem to possibly have some sort of like inspiration as to how you can make more money. Maybe an idea comes to you in your dreams. Maybe you realize, oh, I need to study this and I can monetize this talent better. 25th of February, probably one of the most difficult days of the month, not because it's super tough, but because it's annoying. That's how I would describe the 25th of February. It is an annoying day. Why? Because Mercury in Aquarius in the 11th house is squaring Uranus and Taurus in your 2nd house. You could have some unexpected expenses that you need to take care of. Maybe something that you thought would cost you less is costing you more. Maybe a group type of activity, maybe an activity with your siblings, with friends, with coworkers. Maybe you're expected to pay for something and you didn't think that you would have to pay for it. You can also have some sort of disagreement. You may feel at odds all of a sudden with a friend or with a sibling, because Mercury also rules your 3rd house of siblings. In any case, it seems to catch you quite off guard, but now you are obviously no longer off guard because you've been warned about it. I gotta tell you, this is probably one of those cases where you're called to agree to disagree. And that is February for you, my dear Aries. If you are a Taurus sun or a Taurus rising, February for you mostly revolves around the topic of career and being in the spotlight, being in the limelight. On the 1st of February, Taurians, 3 days before, 3 days after, you have a new moon in Aquarius in your 10th house. It is conjunct Saturn, the planet of discipline, the planet of hard work, the planet of labor, the planet of external obstacles as well. And it is squaring Uranus and Taurus in the first house. Now, for some of you Taurians, this new moon may bring a new boss into your life, a new leader in your life. It may also bring your way more responsibilities at work, more pressure. It may feel like you are rising in rank career-wise, but there's also a lot of pressure on your shoulders, and that might make you feel like you're a little bit possibly trapped, and maybe you also don't have that much freedom to do what you want to do, to pursue what you want to pursue career-wise, because there's a lot of external kind of rules that you need to take into account, that you need to adhere to. You may also feel a little bit burdened by existing traditions and outdated ways or old ways of doing things in a career environment. It is a new beginning for you career-wise. It does seem to confer you probably more authority. But on the other hand, there is this sort of like pressure that you're feeling. What I like about this new moon is that at the time of the new moon, Uranus in your first house is trining Venus and Mars and Capricorn in the ninth house. Maybe this is a time when you are receiving the opportunity to work with people overseas, or work in an international environment, or collaborate with teams across the globe. That is certainly a possibility, but the pressure is on. You are feeling it, and you're going to have to be very serious if you want to rise up to the occasion, Taurus. The good part is that you're naturally quite serious. Who am I talking about? I have so many Taurians in my life, and you're the biggest jokers. Like, folks think that Gemini is the joker, but no, Taurus is a bigger joker. Again, I realize, subjective. On the 4th of February, we have Mercury going out of retrograde in your ninth house. Amen to that. And Mars and Capricorn in the ninth house, sextiling Jupiter and Pisces in the 11th house. Okay, so if you have been experiencing delays in terms of traveling, in terms of getting the results of your exams, in terms of entering into university, in terms of moving forward with your studies, in terms of legal matters, trials, and so on, you are going to feel like things are finally getting out of a rut after Mercury goes out of retrograde. And I really like the 4th of February because Mars sextiling Jupiter makes me think that you are obtaining some sort of win. Exams-wise, travel-wise, in a legal environment. It feels like the effort that you've been putting in one of these areas of your life is paying off, and it also feels like there's someone that wants to help you. There's someone that wants to make the path easier for you to move forward on. So I really like the 4th of February. On the 8th of February, one of the best days of February, Mars and Capricorn in the ninth house is trining Uranus and Taurus in the first house, in your first house of identity, of personality, and of new beginnings. Time to travel. Time to make plans to travel. Time to score a win in the legal sphere. Also, time to initiate something that has to do with advancing your studies, that has to do maybe with obtaining a visa, a certificate, something connected with immigration, and so on. You may need to be very bold in going after what you want, but Mars supports you. And also, you have that Uranian kind of electric energy about you that makes you just kind of like hit the bullseye. Bam. So I like this. Sounds like a victory. To me, it also sounds like a new beginning in one of these areas. You seem to have like tremendous inspiration on this day when it comes to traveling, legal matters, and so on. 11th of February, Mercury is conjunct Pluto and Capricorn in your ninth house. This is something that happened also on the 29th of January. Have a think about what was going on in the area of education, in the area of long distance travel, in the area of how you make sense of reality, because you could receive new information or hidden information that was buried is coming to the surface in these areas. It looks like something is revealed in these areas, and something that that changes the situation that you did not have access to up until that point. Mercury for you, my dear Taurians, rules, let's see, your second house and your fifth house. Maybe now, finally, you can make the payment for, let's say, a new passport and so on. Maybe it feels like finally the payment is being received because Mercury was retrograde and there could have been delays with payments in this area. Maybe you're receiving a refund. That would be great. On the 14th of February, Mercury moves into Aquarius in your 10th house of career. So for the next 3 weeks, your mind is going to be very, very much focused on engaging with bosses, people in positions of authority, advancing your career, speaking to a wider audience, maybe speaking in public, and so on. 16th of February, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, you have a full moon in Leo in your 4th house. I do recommend looking back at what was going on in your life around the 8th of August, 3 days before, 3 days after in 2021, because this full moon reflects themes that started or that came to your attention initially around the 16th of February. It looks like something is coming to a close in your home life. Maybe you're finalizing something in your home environment. Maybe you're finalizing renovations. Maybe you're finalizing a move. Maybe you're moving into a new house. Maybe you are completing a project in your private life. You seem to be feeling very, very relieved. The word that comes to mind is free. You seem to be feeling free. Why? Because Jupiter in Pisces in your 11th house is trining Uranus and Taurus. My apologies, is sextiling Uranus and Taurus in your first house. The sextile is going to be exact on the 18th of February. You're feeling free to make other plans. You're feeling free to move forward with your life. You could also be, for instance, at this point in time, announcing to the outside world or presenting something to the outside world, something that was going on in your private life and something that you're very proud of, I'd say. And you seem to have the support of friends around this time. You seem to receive some sort of like public acknowledgement and applause, and everyone is cheering for you, I dare say, Taurus. 18th of February, the sun moves into Pisces in your 11th house. It is illuminating your friendship sector for the next 4 weeks. So probably more time spent with friends, if I may say so. And maybe also inviting friends into your house, because the sun governs your 4th house of home and living situation. And on the 25th of February, Mercury in Aquarius is squaring Uranus and Taurus in your 1st house. This is a day of misunderstandings with bosses, of feeling maybe caught in a crossfire, caught in an argument at work. This is a day where I believe you're called to agree to disagree with a boss. My dear Geminis, Gemini Suns, and Gemini Rising. So what can you expect from the month of February 2022? Well, a lot of focus on traveling, a lot of focus on education, especially higher education, if I may say so, and it might not all be super fun. There could be some extra responsibilities that come to your plate in that area. There could be a need for you to commit to something, especially around the 1st of February, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after. This is when you have a new moon in your 9th house, conjunct Saturn, planet of duty, responsibility, structure, discipline, control, and squaring Uranus and Taurus in the 12th house. So Geminis, around this time, it may feel like you're starting a new chapter of your life in the area of studies. You might want to commit to some sort of long-term course, but it doesn't necessarily seem to be something that you're super excited about because it feels more like you feel pressured to take this course. Maybe you feel pressured to take this class. Maybe you feel pressured to also travel around this time. You might also feel pressured to apply for some sort of certificate or pass or proof that allows you to, let's say, travel, for instance, or that proves your residency in a foreign country. You might start, for instance, the process of applying for citizenship around this time. What I do like around this new moon is the trine between Uranus in the 12th house and Venus and Mars in Capricorn in the 8th house. If you do need support from others, if you do need help from others with this process, ask for it, because you will probably receive it. This can also feel like a time when you need to maybe fill in your tax return, or hire maybe a legal consultant or a lawyer to help you with taxes, with insurance, with the topic of inheritance, and so on. It feels like you're reaching some sort of formal agreement maybe, or you're signing official papers that have something to do with inheritance, insurance, debt, or shared resources. On the 4th of February, Mercury goes out of retrograde in the 8th house, so if you have been experiencing delays, for instance, in getting a loan, it will get easier, I'll tell you this. If you have been experiencing all sorts of misunderstandings when it comes to shared resources with the partner, it feels like the air is clearing out. Mars in Capricorn on this day is sextiling Jupiter in Pisces in the 10th house. My apologies. You could receive the green light for a mortgage, for a loan. You could also receive maybe a significant bonus at this time, possibly something that was delayed. Or you could also receive outstanding funds, for instance, if you are waiting to receive benefits or alimony or a tax rebate. This can be the day when things literally get out of gridlock. I think that's what it's called. So if the situation was not moving forward in any shape or form, things are kind of like snapping into place. On the 8th of February, this is one of my favorite days of the month. Mars in Capricorn in the 8th house is trining Uranus in Taurus in the 12th house. For you, Geminis, Mars rules your 11th house and the 6th house. It looks like you are maybe overcoming some sort of health-related crisis, and maybe something that was putting a lot of mental and psychological strain and pressure upon you. It looks like the work that you've been doing to overcome this sort of inner crisis is paying off. It also looks like you're having some sort of breakthrough in this area. You may also sign maybe a very lucrative kind of like deal with a client or with a coworker at this point in time that actually makes for both of you quite a lot of money. This can also be a time when you get a significant win, maybe when it comes to your investments, maybe when it comes to the way that you've been making money by utilizing other people's resources. This can also bring, if you're in a partnership, business, or romantic, this could also bring an unexpected win, possibly for a partner on a financial level. And maybe this is something that you are both going to take advantage of. To me, this says someone wants to maybe share their resources with you and you did not see this coming. But on the other hand, you do see it as a win because it's something that you've worked for. That's how I would describe it. On the 11th of February, Mercury is conjunct Pluto in Capricorn in the 8th house in the same way that it was conjunct in January of 2022 on the 29th of January, have a think about what information came to your attention about the topic of shared resources around the 29th of January. Also have a think about what was happening with your investments at the time, because there is likely to be a mirroring of themes on the 11th of February. You might also bump into some sort of secret that comes to the surface about an intimate relationship or about a partnership that involved the sharing of resources. So you might uncover hidden information. 14th of February, for the next 3 weeks, Mercury moves through Aquarius in your 9th house. So your mind is very much geared towards your studies, towards your travels. It is also very much geared towards making sense of everything that's been going on in your life. I gotta say, probably in the past, at least in the past 3 weeks. 16th of February, 3 days before, 3 days after, the full moon in Leo is triggering your axis of movement, of traveling, and of studying. I do recommend looking back at what was going on in your life around the 8th of August, 3 days before, 3 days after in 2021, because this full moon seems to bring to a close a chapter that kicked off 6 months ago. This can be a time maybe when you buy a new car. This can also be a time when you receive very good news connected with exams. So it looks like the results of your work in this area are very pleasant. This is a very nice full moon. I will say this, Jupiter in Pisces in your 10th house is trining Uranus and Taurus in the 12th house, so you seem to be pleasantly surprised by how you have managed to maybe bring to completion something of an educational nature in your life. This is also a time when you may travel or when you may make plans to travel, especially locally or short distance. I like the fact that Venus and Mars are conjunct in Capricorn in the 8th house. Why? Because this may also indicate that around this time you can sign maybe a sale, or you can sign documents that have to do with the purchase, and you're very happy with the purchase. If you are looking for some sort of buyer in your life, if you're selling something, then you may find a buyer around this time, and you are reaching an agreement that is pleasing for both of you, by the looks of it, from a financial standpoint. 18th of February, the sun moves into Pisces in your 10th house for the next 4 weeks, so it is illuminating this sector of your chart. You're going to be very focused on your career, on your public status, and on your public reputation for the next 4 weeks. And Jupiter in Pisces in the 10th house is sextiling Uranus and Taurus in your 12th house. Exactly. So it is a day of receiving kudos from bosses. It is a day possibly of exposure that turns out very well in your career environment. So if you have any sort of presentation to make, you're gonna nail it. If you have an interview, if you have a boss to persuade of something, again, you're probably going to nail it. And 25th of February is a bit of an annoying day. I'll just go out there and say it, because Mercury in Aquarius in your 9th house is squaring Uranus and Taurus in the 12th house. So if you're traveling long distance, do leave the house for the airport as early as you can, because there could be, for instance, disruption on the road. I also strongly recommend checking everything to see that it is in place and in the right place, let's say, when it comes to documents, when it comes to your passport and so on, because there could be some unexpected events that throw your plans a little bit out the window. Now, if you are a Cancer Sun or a Cancer Rising, like yours truly, what's going on in February, Cancerians, for us? Well, a lot of focus on shared resources, on investments, on other people's money, taxes, and so on. Also, quite a bit of focus on the area of partnerships and relationships this month. So 1st of February, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, you have a new moon in Aquarius in your 8th house, conjunct Saturn and square Uranus in Taurus. This seems to be a period of time when you maybe reach some sort of formal agreement when it comes to shared resources, maybe with a partner in your life, business partner or life partner, but you don't necessarily seem to feel very excited about this agreement because it seems to add more responsibilities to your plate. It seems, if anything, to burden you a little bit financially. It can also be a time when you decide to no longer collaborate with someone in a way that was bringing revenue in both of your pockets, maybe, because let's say you're no longer aligned in terms of long-term goals. This can also be a time, possibly, if you are in a partnership, when your partner comes home and says, you know those investments, or you know that property that we wanted to sell, or you know that bet that we took on this new venture, it's not really going that great. Or we might need to slow down a little bit. We might need to delay it. So there can be a delay. There can be the sense of delay when it comes to maybe joint financial ventures at this point in time. You could, for instance, get a loan at this time or a mortgage. Some Cancerians might get this, but it's putting significant strain upon you mentally, and also, I dare say, if you're getting it in conjunction with a partner, a life partner, for instance, it seems to put a lot of mental strain also on the relationship. 4th of February, Mercury goes out of retrograde in your 7th house. Yay! So say goodbye for now to misunderstandings with your partner, miscommunication. Say goodbye to things getting lost in translation when it comes to communication with clients, possibly delays when it comes to maybe client calls or client consultations and so on. I love this day because Mars in Capricorn in your 7th house is sextiling Jupiter in Pisces in the 9th house. If you have been trying to persuade a business partner or a client of something and you've been putting a lot of energy into it, it's like, come on, let's make this happen. Today you're winning. They come around. They say, yes, let's do it. I get it now. I understand where you're coming from. This could also be a time when you receive very positive news from, for instance, a lawyer, an attorney, an accountant. Very positive news connected maybe with your business overseas or abroad. You could hear news that you need to travel abroad for your business, and maybe this is a trip that was delayed. You seem to be very happy about taking this trip. 8th of February, Mars in Capricorn is trining Uranus in Taurus in your 11th house. A partner has some sort of initiative that takes you by surprise, but in a very pleasant way. It could be a business initiative. It could also be a life partner. Your life partner, husband, wife, and so on. Taking you maybe out to catch up with friends, to meet with friends. They seem to have prepared something for you. And it feels like a really exciting and entertaining time along with a partner in a group type of setup. It also feels like a time when you are aligned with your partner in terms of a long-term goal. And they have put a lot of energy into maybe helping you fulfill a long-term goal. And things are falling into place in a nice way. 11th of February, Mercury is conjunct Pluto in Capricorn in the 7th house. It was also conjunct Pluto in Capricorn on the 29th of January. Mercury rules your 12th house and your 3rd house. Your partner might have something very surprising to share with you, or something that was just kind of like kept out of sight. Something that was kept hidden from you. You may find find out some secret about your partner at this point in time. 16th of February, 3 days before, 3 days after, you have a full moon in Leo in your 2nd house of finances. Please look back, Cancerians, at what you were doing around the 8th of August, 2021, because this is when you had a new moon in the same part of your chart in the 2nd house. You seem to be reaping the rewards of the energy that you've been putting into this area of your life in the past 6 months. So at the full moon, we reap what we sow. If you have started working on something with the view to generate money out of it around the 8th of August, it looks like 16th of February, 3 days before, 3 days after is payday. It feels like the work that you've been putting is finally paying off. You could also be cashing in on an investment around this time, and I don't see you being upset about it. On the contrary, I see you actually being very excited about it. Jupiter in Pisces in your 9th house is going to be sextiling Uranus in Taurus in the 11th house at this point in time. If you need to finalize some sort of like documents, paperwork in a legal environment, they seem to be moving forward very smoothly. This could also be a time around the 16th of February when you finally receive approval on maybe a tax rebate, maybe a loan, maybe money coming your way from an external investor. It could be a bank, it could be a person. Venus and Mars are conjunct in Capricorn in your 7th house at this point in time. You may also feel like you've had a breakthrough on an intimate level with a partner, which is great. 18th of February, the sun moves into Pisces in your 9th house for the next 4 weeks. My days, Cancerians, this is a great time to spend your money because the sun rules your 2nd house on education and on traveling. And on the 25th of February, Mercury in Aquarius in your 8th house is squaring Uranus and Taurus in the 11th house. You know how you thought that you had reached a fantastic agreement maybe with someone on a financial level, either around the 1st of February, maybe you weren't that optimistic on the 1st of February, but around the 16th of February, it may have felt like you've had a breakthrough in this area. There could be some unexpected information coming to your attention. Maybe there's a clause in the contract that you didn't notice. This could also be a time when you feel, how should I say, not attacked, but you feel annoyed, you feel frustrated because you thought you were on the same page with a friend on a very sensitive topic for you, and it turns out that you're not. It looks like they have very kind of different opinions compared to what you thought they were thinking. This can also be a time when you feel a little bit stressed because it feels like you need to reach out to someone from the outside to ask for their help and support when it comes to fulfilling one of your long-term plans, and it seems to be making you feel like you're in a position of vulnerability and exposure, Cancerians. My dear Leos, Leo suns and Leo risings. So what can you expect from February 2022? Well, a lot of focus on relationships. Leos, a lot going on in your partnership sector. It all kicks off with a new moon in your 7th house of partnerships and committed relationships on the 1st of February, 3 days before, 3 days after, conjunct Saturn and square Uranus and Taurus in the 10th house. It looks like at this new moon, my dear Leos, you are probably agreeing to enter a partnership that will literally bring more responsibilities onto your plate, more work for you to do. It looks like you agree to maybe do something for the partner that requires effort in the long run. You could agree, for instance, to work on your relationship on a new way. This is also a time when you may sign some sort of business partnership, maybe with someone that, let's say, doesn't necessarily have the exact vision of the industry that you're working in as you have. So this partnership is a bit of a wild card. This agreement may not necessarily be the most flowing and smooth and easy to maintain agreement. On the other hand, it does look like it is a contract, an agreement, a partnership that will help you advance your career in the long run. I like the fact that on the day of the new moon, Uranus and Taurus in your 10th house is trining Venus and Mars in Capricorn in the 6th house of day-to-day work. On the 4th of February, Mercury goes out of retrograde in your 6th house. Hallelujah! Finally. So you can breathe easily. because there will probably be less misunderstandings, less miscommunication at work. Maybe a project that was delayed at work is moving forward. Finally, it feels like mentally you're going to be relieved as to how a specific work project advances. Also, if you've been having a disagreement maybe with a colleague, or if you've been finding it difficult to collaborate with a team at work, things are becoming easier after the 4th of February. I like the 4th of February because Mars in Capricorn in your 6th house is sextiling Jupiter in Pisces in the 8th house. So if you have been dealing with maybe inflammation in the body, if you have been fighting maybe some sort of physical ailment for the past 3 weeks to a month, now it feels like you are overcoming whatever was bothering you, whatever issue you were having health-wise. And it also feels like you have discovered the source of the problem, the root cause of the problem. 8th of February, one of the best days of the month. Mars in Capricorn in your 6th house is trining Uranus and Taurus in the 10th house. This is a day to work independently on something exciting career-wise. It is also a day to act courageously in the direction of your long-term plans career-wise. It can also be a day when you score some sort of important client career-wise, and you're feeling like you are in new territory, in a new territory altogether. But this feels super exciting. This can also be a time when you feel like you have won. Again, there's this element of victory that Mars brings to the table. When you feel like you've won something in a professional environment after fighting an uphill battle to maybe finalize some documents, contracts, to agree on something of a legal nature, maybe with stakeholders. This can also be a day when you make tremendous progress on a slow-moving project at work. And if you present your work to a boss or to a wider group of people, then the feedback is probably going to be great, maybe better than you thought it would be, my dear Leos. 11th of February, Mercury is conjunct Pluto once again in Capricorn in your 6th house. It was also conjunct on the 29th of January. New information or hidden information, buried information is coming to the surface in your work environment. Maybe you hear something about a colleague, maybe something that takes you by surprise. Maybe you discover that possibly someone was going behind your back, let's say maybe undermining your work. You could also find why things were slowing down or things weren't progressing in a work environment during the retrograde of Mercury between the middle of January, my apologies, until the 4th of February. It feels like you have uncovered maybe the hidden kind of like skeleton in the closet, or the source of poisoning almost on this day. And it's good to know. It's good to know what you're dealing with or what you dealt with. On the 16th of February, 3 days before, 3 days after, you have a full moon in your 1st house, but also triggering your 7th house of relationships. I do recommend looking back at what you were doing around the 8th of August, 2021 on a personal level. Did you started developing yourself in a new direction? Did you initiate something at the time? Because if you did, if you initiated like a new project of some sort, Leos, you seem to be reaping the rewards, the results of your work around the 16th of February, and you seem to be very pleased with the results of your work and of your initiative around this time. I like that Jupiter in Pisces in the 8th house is sextiling Uranus and Taurus in the 10th house. You seem to also have reached a culminating moment in your relationship sector. Maybe you feel like you have accomplished something that you wanted to accomplish relationship-wise. Mars and Venus are conjunct in Capricorn in your 6th house of day-to-day work. It feels like something is alchemizing in the area of work. It feels like something is coming together. It feels like your initiative along with your creative juices and inspiration, have created something beautiful that you have to share, that you want to share with the outside world. 18th of February, the sun moves into Pisces for the next 4 weeks in your eighth house. So there's going to be a tremendous amount of focus for you, Leos, on the topic of intimacy and shared resources. Also on the 18th of February, we have an exact aspect between Jupiter in the 8th house and Uranus and Taurus in the 10th house. I have to say, this can be a day of wins when it comes to investments, when it comes to speculations. It can also be a day when you get very good news, maybe connected with a bonus, or very good news connected with your partner's finances, business partner or a life partner. And I also wanted to flag one more thing, Leos. If any of you are single this month, you may feel like you have found your person, or you may feel like you've found someone that you truly resonate with around the 16th of February in particular, especially 3 days before, 3 days after. If you have been putting effort into finding a partner or into connecting with someone, your efforts will probably pay off around the 16th of February. 25th of February is a very annoying day. I think I pretty much warned everyone. Why? Because Mercury in Aquarius in your 7th house is squaring Uranus and Taurus in the 10th house. It looks like an open adversary at work is throwing shade, maybe on your way of doing things career-wise. It also feels like you're dealing with, on this day, maybe with delays when it comes to your work initiatives that have to do with maybe a contractor asking for more money than they initially asked for. Maybe you being, let's say, misaligned, possibly, with the plans that a collaborator of yours had in the area of work, in a professional environment. It feels like there's some difficult conversations that you need to have on this day. The person that you're having the conversation with, especially in a professional environment, has some very fixed ideas. You have some very fixed ideas as well, and you might not reach an agreement on this day. So be prepared for that. Also be prepared for sudden, unexpected requests from bosses. Maybe requests that keep you from, let's say, going out with friends, or determine you to postpone some sort of plans that you had made of a social nature. Now, if you are a Virgo sun or a Virgo rising, my dear Virgos, what's going on in February for you? Well, the month kicks off with a bang, with a new moon in Aquarius, in your 6th house of day-to-day work and health, conjunct Saturn and squaring Uranus and Taurus in the 9th house. I do like that Uranus is trining Venus and Mars in Capricorn in the 5th house. Let's see. For you, Virgos, Saturn rules your 5th house and your 6th house. It looks like this is a new moon when you need to commit to a new health regimen, or you need to commit to be disciplined enough in the future to no longer engage in a habit that was impacting your health. And it will probably require a lot of self-control. It will probably feel hard. I'll just go out there and say it. But on the other hand, it does seem to be something that you feel is necessary for your health, and especially your mental health moving forward. You can receive some news connected with health around this time, maybe news that require you to travel quite suddenly. You could also be asked to travel at short notice for a work-related matter, maybe to see a client. This can be a time when you start a new job, but if you do start a new job, or if you start working in a new team, which is also very possible, Virgos, it may feel like you are being thrown in an environment that feels completely foreign. It's like, what are these people about? Or who am I talking to? Or this is not the way I would do things. Or I feel like the alien here. So it may feel a little bit like that. It's getting easier as the month advances, I dare say. Once Mercury is out of retrograde, once you reach the full moon on the 16th of February. So trust me, and don't put too much pressure on yourselves, Virgos. 4th of February, Mercury goes out of retrograde in your 5th house. If you have been feeling uninspired in a creative sense, you will probably start to feel like the juices of inspiration are flowing. Mercury for you rules your 10th house and your 1st house. If you have been feeling like there was no joy out of the work that you've been doing, or if you have been feeling a little bit confused as to whether you actually like the work that you're doing or not, you're probably going to get clarity from the 4th of February onwards. I like the 4th of February also because Mars in Capricorn in your 5th house is sextiling Jupiter in Pisces in the 7th house. This can feel like a day when you get some clarity when it comes also to your romantic life. If you've been experiencing all sorts of like weird conversations, or conversations where you felt like the other person wasn't listening to you, wasn't hearing you properly, or where you felt like your message was lost in translation. It is a great day to go out with a romantic partner, to have some fun times together. It may also feel like you are finally aligned in terms of where you want to be going, moving forward. If you have been experiencing some difficulties in the area of home and living together with a partner, you're probably feeling like this is a thing of the past from the 4th of February onwards. It's a very good day, the 4th of February, actually, to collaborate with someone creatively, or to initiate some sort of creative collaboration or partnership, to reach to someone. 8th of February, Mars in Capricorn in your 5th house is trining Uranus and Taurus in the 9th house. Oh, I love this. Do plan an unexpected, do plan a sudden trip abroad if you can. I do see this aspect as being very auspicious for that. Now, I know, of course, the situation is how it is in the world right now, but things are getting better. I mean, at least they're getting better when I'm filming this. For instance, here in the UK, all restrictions will be dropped as of the 29th of January. So you may take the initiative to book like a trip around this time. This is also a very good day for work that combines your belief system and your personal life philosophy with your sense of creative self-expression. It may also feel like this is a day when you really enjoy putting energy and work into an intellectual endeavor. It's like things are clicking into place. You may have a brilliant idea. 11th of February, Mercury is conjunct Pluto in Capricorn in your 5th house. It was also conjunct Pluto on the 29th of January. Have a think about what sort of information came to your attention about creative projects or romantic partners or children around the 29th of January, because it could also, let's say the plot thickens. It could gain a new dimension. It could feel even more serious and impactful around the 11th of February. You may also hear something or learn something that you had no clue about when it comes to a romantic partner. So something comes to your attention and you did not see this coming. Something that, especially if you have children, something that maybe a child was keeping from you in terms of information might also come to your attention around this time, and you might be a little bit taken aback, I dare say. 16th of February, 3 days before, 3 days after, we have a full moon in Leo, triggering your 12th house, 6th house axis, the axis of service. Look back, Virgos, at what you were doing spiritually, in terms of introspection, in terms of looking inwards, around the 8th of August, 2021, 3 days before, 3 days after, because you seem to be having some sort of spiritual epiphany around the 16th of February. This is also a time when you seem to be healed, either on a physical level or on a mental health level, of something that might have been, I don't want to say plaguing you, but something that may have been on your mind for the past few months, possibly even for the past 6 months. I like the fact that on this day, Venus and Mars are conjunct in Capricorn in the 5th house. It can be a day of it can be a period of tremendous inspiration, of creative inspiration work-wise. This can also be a time when you, for instance, receive a job offer, or you receive appreciation for your ideas in a work environment. It is a happy full moon. I will say this: you're completing a work project, you are healing yourself of something health-wise. It's looking very good. And on the 18th of February, the sun moves into Pisces in your 7th house. So for the next 4 weeks, it will illuminate your relationship sector. It may feel like you're putting a lot of work into maybe making a relationship work business-wise or romantically. Jupiter in Pisces on the 18th of February is sextiling Uranus and Taurus in the 9th house. If you're traveling around this time, I gotta say you're enjoying a fabulous, fabulous day. Also, this is a time to really go out into the world with a partner and to maybe experience culture, a night out, going to the museums, going to the theater. It looks like you're feeling like your soul is being enriched through these types of activities together with a partner. If you're going out on a date on this day, you're probably going to feel like you've found someone who really sees the world in the same way that you see it. And 25th of February, I don't really like this day. Maybe one of the most challenging days of the month. It's a very frustrating day because Mercury in Aquarius in your 6th house is squaring Uranus and Taurus in the 9th house. It's a day of maybe things kind of like getting lost in translation at work because of cultural differences, possibly. If you're traveling for work, it could feel like things are getting delayed, or maybe you don't have all your documents with you. I do strongly recommend checking whether your passport is still valid. I do recommend triple checking that you have all paperwork with you if you are traveling. You may also experience a feeling of frustration connected with a contract in a work environment. This might not necessarily be the day when things get solved, and sometimes that's okay. Sometimes we do need to slow down. We do need to revisit the terms of the contract. We do need to explain things once again to someone who we thought, maybe a coworker or a client, someone who we thought was aligned with us in terms of ways of thinking. That, Virgos, is February for you. My dear Libras, Libra suns and Libra risings, what can you expect from February 2022? Well, a lot of focus on creativity, on passions, hobbies, on children, and on romantic love. However, this may sound super fun. There is a caveat here. The caveat is the presence of Saturn currently in this sector of your chart, especially for Libra risings. So you are likely to, let's say, feel like you've got some sense of increased duty and responsibility towards these particular sectors of your life throughout the month of February, especially the first 3 weeks of February, I dare say. 1st of February, 3 days before, 3 days after, you have a new moon in Aquarius in your 5th house, conjunct Saturn and squaring Uranus and Taurus in your 8th house of other people's resources. Now, the good news at this new moon is that Uranus is trining Venus and Mars in your 4th house of home. So this new moon is likely to bring for you some sort of new beginning in the area of creative self-expression, in the area of creative projects. You may make a promise to yourself or to others, to a wider group of people, to dedicate yourself, to commit yourself to a creative project for the next few months. You could also make a promise to yourself or to others, or both, to take a more serious and responsible approach when it comes to your creative talents and when it comes to actually putting them to work in the 3D material reality. For instance, some of you folks might kick off a new creative project together with a wider group of people. Some of you might start working on a creative project that you feel it's almost like your duty to bring into the 3D external material reality, some of you folks might start trying for a baby. And if you do make that decision, obviously for those of you who want that, it may feel like something that in a way you're kind of expected to do, and you may also feel a little bit of pressure. Now, when I say you're expected to do it, it doesn't necessarily mean that the outside world is expecting you to have a baby. It could mean that you have this expectation of yourself, and it feels like something that you really need to put your energy and efforts into. The tricky part here is the following. You may have some qualms, you may have some doubts when it comes to either the topic of children or the topic of initiating a creative project. You may have some doubts around your collaborators. Obviously, if we're talking about children, we would be talking here about your partner. And if we're talking about creative projects, we would be talking here about people that you work with on this specific project. It feels like there is a very strong difference in terms of values, in terms of value system between you and the people that you are expected to work with on this. As I said, the good news is the fact that Uranus at the time of this new moon is harmoniously aspecting Venus and Mars in your 4th house of home and family. It does look like whatever you decide to embark upon in terms of work and patience and discipline and long-term projects in the area of creativity or children, it does look like someone in your family is supporting you. It does look like you have a family member, or in general your family. They have your back. They are here for you. So if you need help, I would reach out to your family. On the 4th of February, a very important day, Mercury goes out of retrograde. Yes. Mercury has been moving retrograde through your 5th house and your 4th house. You could say that misunderstandings with family members are over. You could also say that if you have been experiencing delays in your home and family sector, when it comes to maybe agreeing on some sort of contractual matter, also when it comes to maybe agreeing on something of a legal nature, it feels like you're finally making progress after the 4th of February. If you have been waiting, for instance, to sell a house, and you've been on the market for some time, and maybe there's been all sorts of like back and forth, all sorts of unexpected spanners in the work, if that's even an expression, thrown your way. Things are moving in the right direction after the 4th of February onwards. The right direction is the direction in which you want to take this area of your life. It's also a good time, I dare say, after the 4th of February to make peace with a family member if you have been having some conflicts, some disagreements with family members. I like the 4th of February because Mars in Capricorn in your 4th house is sextiling Jupiter in Pisces in the 6th house. If you needed to make some repairs around the house, if you needed, let's say, the help of external contractors and so on, and if it was very hard to find an external contractor, if it was very hard, for instance, to find the people who could fix whatever went south in your home, the 4th of February seems to be a day when you are very likely to feel like you're scoring a win in this area. Also, it feels like the efforts that you've been making in the area of home and family life, maybe the efforts to renovate a home, maybe the efforts to buy a home, maybe the efforts to sell a home, they're paying off. And the 4th of February is a very, very good day in that regard. 8th of February, Mars in Capricorn in your 4th house is trining Uranus and Taurus in the 8th house. It looks like you're having some sort of breakthrough in the area of partnerships. Maybe, let's put it this way, you finally agree with your partner to buy a certain home, or you finally managed to fix something around the house. Once again, there has been probably a lot of fixing that you needed to do around the house whilst Mercury was retrograde from the middle of January. It may also feel like you've succeeded to find, let's say, a middle ground together with a partner for something that you wanted to accomplish within the house. You could also, for instance, receive very positive news about a mortgage or about remortgaging. Let's say your partner could receive a bonus around this time if you are in a partnership, if you are in a relationship, and you could use that bonus to put it into something that you've wanted to do home-wise, maybe to buy new furniture or something of that nature. It looks like your partner has some sort of like nice surprise that also involves finances for you around the 8th of February. For those of you who are single, I like the 8th of February. Why? Well, first of all, because Mars trining Uranus in the 8th house, to me, spells a lot of physical and sensual passion and pleasure. I mean, that doesn't mean that if you're in a relationship, you can't experience this on an intimate level as well. The 8th of February is a great day for intimacy for you, Libras. I'll just leave it at that. But even if you are single, it may feel like maybe you're connecting with someone very, very strongly on that sort of level. It may also feel like you understand what you need in that area of your life a lot better in the area of intimacy. So overall, I like it. 11th of February, Mercury is conjunct Pluto in Capricorn in your 4th house. Something seems to be coming to the surface. Maybe a family member has something to let you know. Maybe you hear something outrageous coming from a family member, as in some sort of conspiracy theory or something like that, or they could have a secret to reveal to you, my dear Libras, around this time. It could also be something that came to your attention, or it could be related to something that came to your attention on the 29th of January, when Mercury was conjunct Pluto again in this part of your chart. 16th of February, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, you have a full moon triggering your 11th house, 5th house axis. I do recommend looking back at the new moon that was taking place on the 8th of August, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, because this full moon is bringing a cycle that kicked off for you on an emotional level. It's bringing it to a peak. It's the symbolic culmination of a 6-month cycle that started in August, around the 8th of August. It feels like you are fulfilling a long-term goal and objective around the 16th of February. You could be receiving very, very good news connected with one of your creative projects. You could be presenting a creative project to the outside world. You could also be presenting your child to the outside world, or giving news of pregnancy around this time. For those of you who have children already, you could have some really good news to share with the outside world connected with your children. They might have overcome something of a health-related nature. Your children, for those of you who have children already, it's a very good time to get together with friends. It's a very good time to reconnect with friends. It's a very good time to go out into the world. And if you do go out into the world around this time, there is a possibility that you may receive some sort of unexpected opportunity to collaborate with someone on a work-related level. Another possibility is the following. You may get together. Folks, I'm filming this when Mercury is retrograde, and my cat just bumped into a lot of glasses, so apologies about that. You could also get together around the full moon happening on the 16th of February with friends from work. And it feels like you're very welcome. It feels like you're really enjoying this, and you feel part of a tribe. You feel part of a big family, I'd say, Libras. So I like this full moon for you. Very good news also probably coming your way connected with the area of romance. It's a great day to go out on a date, the 16th of February, and also the 3 days before, 3 days after. On the 16th of February, Venus and Mars are conjunct in Capricorn in your 4th house. You might bring someone home. Just saying. 18th of February, the sun moves into Pisces in your 6th house of day-to-day work for the next 4 weeks. It does look like your focus is going to be very much on daily duties and responsibilities. You are entering one of the busiest periods of the year for you, especially Libra risings. And let's see what else is going on for you, Libras. 25th of February, Also, the day before, maybe, Mercury in Aquarius in your 5th house is squaring Uranus and Taurus in the 8th house. You may have some unexpected disappointments. Just saying, when it comes to investments, when it comes to the stock market, possibly, when it comes to speculation, when it comes to gambling. I don't recommend gambling, once again. I know I've been quite adamant about this also in your January horoscope, my dear Libras, especially not on this day. And this can also be a day of maybe feeling blindsided by something that a romantic partner brings to your attention, something that shows how different your value system is from theirs. Now, I'm not saying that you can't overcome this, but what I am saying is that it can be a little bit frustrating. So Libras, this is a day to be careful what you say, and also to, especially to romantic partners, and also to expect maybe some sort of like unexpected message coming your way from a romantic partner. And that's February for you. Now, if you are a Scorpio sun or a Scorpio rising, my dear Scorpios, February, especially the first 3 weeks-ish of February, are very focused on family matters for you. There's going to be a lot of time that you spend at home this month with this very strong activation of your 4th house. It feels like duty calls at home. It feels like you are probably going to become aware of a new responsibility or a new set of responsibilities being brought to your attention and on your plate from the area of home and family life, especially around the 1st of February, 3 days before, 3 days after as well. Why? Because this new moon that is happening for everyone in the sky, but for you, especially Scorpio risings, it's happening in your 4th house of home. This new moon is conjunct Saturn. So Saturn is the planet of duty, of responsibility, of the hard structures of reality, of the 3D material reality. Saturn is also connected with endings. It is connected with boundaries. It is connected with delays. It is also connected with long-term achievements. It feels like around the 1st of February, you will become, as I said, aware of a new set of responsibilities making their way to you, connected with the area of home and family life. Some Scorpios might buy a new home around this time, and of course that will probably bring extra responsibilities. Maybe you need to renovate the house. Maybe you need to call all your providers and say, I need to change my bills, or I need to change my address. You might also hear news connected with a parent, and it feels like a parent needs your help. You might need to absorb some of their responsibilities, especially something that has to do with a 3D material reality. So they might need you to help them with some money, or they might need you to help them fix something around the house. They might need you to help them move. So it looks like duty calls, again, and it could be something that a parent is dealing with and that you need to step in and help them solve. The good news is that at the time of the new moon, Uranus in your 7th house is trining Venus and Mars in Capricorn in your 3rd house of communication. If you need help from a partner, if you need help from external consultants with anything that's happening in your home and family life, you're probably going to find great professionals. You're probably going to find people who maybe have some innovative solutions for you that you did not think of yourself. So I don't recommend just keeping this challenge that you're dealing with, or maybe it's not necessarily a challenge, but this responsibility in the 3D material reality. I don't recommend keeping it to yourself. I would recommend reaching out to others, maybe delegating, maybe finding a consultant, maybe finding an attorney, a lawyer. If you are in a relationship, even reaching out to your partner and saying, this is what I'm dealing with, what's your take on it? How should we address this? So I would make it a joint effort. Some of you folks might also welcome a child or might welcome a new family member into your midst. But it does feel like you're putting a lot of pressure as a result of this on your shoulders. It's like, okay, now I need to do this. Now I need to do that. Now I need to solve this. Now I need to solve that. 4th of February, Mercury goes out of retrograde in your 3rd house. If you have been experiencing trouble in the past 3 weeks with Mercury went retrograde halfway through January. If you have been experiencing trouble since Mercury went retrograde with your car or with colleagues or with siblings, misunderstandings, things getting lost in translation, your mail not arriving on time, you can say goodbye to those because things are getting solved. I was about to say miraculously, but not so miraculously, just because Mercury retrograde gave you the opportunity to maybe review some of these aspects of your life, to review how your car's doing, for instance, to review how your relationship with your sibling is, or your siblings is working. And now it feels like you're ready to move forward. I like, in particular, the 4th of February because Mars in Capricorn in your 3rd house is sextiling Jupiter and Pisces in the 5th house. So if you have been experiencing, let's say, some challenges in communication with a child or with a romantic partner or with both, now you're on the same page. And now you feel like you can move forward with whatever you had set your mind to move forward with, together with this person in your life. If you have been experiencing maybe a little bit of blockage, like writer's block, if you're working in marketing, if you're working in advertising, if you're working in communications, if you have been experiencing a mental fog, now you're moving forward. You have your words with you. You have your words ready to use, especially on the 4th of February. If you have been experiencing delays on a commercial side, so with sales, with transactions of this nature, because let's not forget that Mercury also rules sales and these sort of commercial transactions. The 4th of February is a very good day. Something is getting unclogged. 8th of February, I like this day because Mars in Capricorn in your 3rd house is trining Uranus in Taurus in the 7th house. Now, for you Scorpios, Mars rules your 1st house of identity and your 6th house. It looks like you are scoring some sort of win at this point in time, maybe like an important sale in a work environment. It also feels like you have finalize something maybe faster than you thought you would. Again, in a work environment, it also feels like you have reached out to the right people who can help you with a work-related matter at this point in time. If you have been maybe struggling to figure out what's going on for you on a health level, on the health front, on the 8th of February, you may have that aha moment where a specialist or someone from the outside is saying, this is where the problem is coming from. So it looks like someone from the outside is helping you figure out something that was making you feel maybe not so positive and optimistic about your health. You might also find like an alternative health specialist on this day, and you seem to have, again, some sort of breakthrough. Also, together with your partner, you seem to be agreeing on something. Maybe that if you are in a relationship, you seem to be agreeing on something that you both need to work together towards on this day. It's a great day to sell something. It's a great day to persuade someone of something. It is, for instance, also a great day to have an interview or to present something to a group of people at a conference. It's a great day to also finalize something in writing, because your mind is functioning at like 2,000 miles an hour. Is that even possible? I don't know. You tell me, Scorpios. 11th of February, Mercury is conjunct Pluto in Capricorn in your 3rd house, just like it was on the 29th of January. Have a think about what came to your attention on the 29th of January, because there's probably part 2 that will come to your attention on the 11th of February, or maybe more information added to the table around the 11th of February. Mercury for you rules your 8th house and your 11th house. Maybe something that was holding you back from fulfilling some sort of group type of objective or collective objective, something that was keeping you from fulfilling that is boiling up like poison coming to the surface, and then it disperses and then it's over. So you can move forward with that. You might also have a friend reaching out to you and sharing some quite unexpected news, some life-altering, for them in particular, news. 16th of February, 3 days before, 3 days after. I like this because you've got a full moon in Leo triggering your 10th house, 4th house axis. So a culmination for you career-wise, you could be finalizing a project with a lot of exposure career-wise. You could also be scoring a new job at this point in time. You could also be scoring a promotion at this point in time. Have a think about what was happening in your career around the 8th of August. Did you start something at the time? Did you receive, I don't know, like a project that added more responsibility to your plate, but also that promised to increase your status and so on? Because you seem to be reaping the results of your work around the 16th of February, 3 days before, 3 days after, and you seem to be very happy with the results. Jupiter in Pisces in your 5th house is trining Uranus and Taurus in your 7th house at this point in time. It looks like you are feeling very inspired. It looks like you're feeling very supported by someone in your life. You might also have something to announce to the outside world that was happening in private in your home life. For instance, some folks might announce that they're getting engaged. Some folks might announce that they're planning to buy a house together with their partner. Some folks might move into a new house with their partner. 18th of February, the sun moves into Pisces for the next 4 weeks, really activating your 5th house of fun, enjoyment, entertainment, and so on. You deserve it. It's been a rough, dare I say, beginning of the year, Scorpios. Jupiter in Pisces is exactly sextiling Uranus and Taurus in your 7th house. My apologies. Earlier I said that Jupiter will be trining Uranus at the time when I was discussing the full moon. It's not trining it, it is sextiling it. It is a harmonious aspect. It's an aspect of collaboration. 18th of February is actually a great day to go out, to have fun, to go out on a date, regardless of whether you are coupled up or not at this point in time. You might also feel like you're having some sort of creative breakthrough as a result of maybe an interaction, a social interaction with someone from the outside. 25th of February is a bit of an annoying day because Mercury in Aquarius in your 4th house is squaring Uranus and Taurus in the 7th house. You seem to be having maybe a disagreement with someone in your home and family sector. It could be a partner, it could be a parent, it could be a child. You seem to be having some sort of disagreement of a financial nature. Maybe you thought you had agreed to buy something and now the other person is saying, I don't like that. That's not my style. I don't want us spending money on this. If you are trying to maybe catch up with a family member around this time, there could be delays on the road. There could be all sorts of external inconveniences that make it more difficult to get together. I'm not saying impossible, but let's say you agreed with your mom to go out for coffee and then there's an accident in the middle of the road and she's 3 hours late. So something like that could happen. Just be aware of it. I would say. And that is February for you, Scorpios. My dear Sagittarians, Sagittarius Sun and Sagittarius Rising, what does February look like for you? Well, I'll tell you, you're probably going to be on the road quite a bit and pushing papers, as they say, from one person to the other. It feels like you've got a lot on your plate this month, especially in the first 3 weeks of the month. You've got a lot on your plate in terms of talking to people, sending emails, paying bills, commuting, also maybe even taking care of your car, doing the annual revision, and so on. So let me not get ahead of myself. The month kicks off with a new moon in Aquarius in your 3rd house, conjunct Saturn and squaring Uranus and Taurus in the 6th house. You seem to be starting a new project around this time that involves writing, so you might enroll upon some sort of class or course. It could be something that you feel, I don't want to say forced, but pressured maybe a bit to take because you think this is something that's going to help your work, or it will help you advance in terms of your professional path. It probably will, but it's also something that requires a lot of time, a lot of commitment, a lot of dedication. It ain't easy. It feels like you're starting to speak some sort of foreign language, symbolically speaking, or maybe you're actually going to decide to start to learn a foreign language around this time. Please remember, everyone, I'm addressing Sagittarius, but I'm talking to everyone. Astrology does not predict exact material manifestation. Astrology is only archetypally predictive. So I'm offering scenarios like every astrologer out there. But remember, the archetypal energies can play out slightly differently for you, or they can play out on an internal level, so mentally, psychologically, not just in the outside world. There's a few different scenarios that can take place around this time. The gist of it is the following. It feels like you are embarking upon a longer term intellectual effort, and it all kicks off around the 1st of February. This could also be a time when you realize that you need to buy a new car, or you realize that you need to fix something structural when it comes to your car, or when it comes to your means of transportation, because maybe, possibly, otherwise you can't go into work, or it's very hard to go into work. If you are starting to learn something around this time to help you advance professionally, I can give you the good news. The good news is that it will probably help you advance. I like the fact that at the time of this new moon, Uranus in your 6th house is trining Venus and Mars conjunct in Capricorn in your 2nd house of income. So whatever you're starting to learn, it will probably result in more money in the long run, more confidence, more self-worth, but it ain't easy, folks. That's the gist of it. 4th of February, really good day. Really, really good day. Why? Mercury goes out of retrograde. Ta-da! Out of retrograde in your 2nd house of income. If you've been waiting for outstanding payments, if you have been experiencing delays with your bank, if you have been experiencing frustration with getting paid, if you have been experiencing all sorts of mishaps connected with your financial life, it's over. It's over, folks. Yay! I like the 4th of February, not just because Mercury gets out of retrograde, we've been all waiting for this, but also because Mars in Capricorn in your 2nd house is sextiling Jupiter in Pisces in your 4th house. Maybe you're finally finding something that you've been looking for quite some time. For the home, maybe a piece of furniture, maybe an object, and not only do you find it around this time, you're also really quick to snatch it, to buy it, to purchase it. If you have been put in the situation where you had to spend money that you didn't think you'd have to spend for something home related, it feels like from the 4th of February onwards, it feels like it's done, it's fixed. Whatever you had to spend your money on, you no longer have to worry about it. It's working now. So things are kind of like coming back to a state of balance and equilibrium. If you've been waiting, for instance, for a raise, let's say, or for the green light from your boss that you're going to get a raise so that you can purchase a house, you're probably going to get the green light around the 4th of February. But the 4th of February, remember, is a very, very good day. 8th of February, another great day. Mars in Capricorn in your 2nd house is trining Uranus and Taurus in your 6th house. To me, this says you're either going to score some sort of important deal at work, maybe find an important client. It also feels like you are the right person at the right time to solve some sort of emergency at work, and you're taking the lead, and you act fast, and you move with this sort of like clear direction in mind, and things get solved beautifully, and you receive acknowledgement and applause and kudos, and you feel super proud of yourself, which you should, and you feel very confident in your leadership skills and in your ability to solve things. You may have to solve something at work around this time on your own, but on the days when Mars is very strongly activated, and especially Mars combined with Uranus, it's best to work on your own. You work really fast, autonomously, independently. You're like boom, 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 getting things done. So I like it. It's a very productive day work-wise. And if you need to get a lot of work off your plate on the 8th of February, do it on the 8th of February, because it feels like you're in control, you're very disciplined, you know what needs to be done, your mind is coming up with like all sorts of like innovative ideas. I like it. It feels like you've got this sort of inspiration that you didn't necessarily have up until this point. If you need to get some sort of health procedure done around the 8th of February, the 8th of February seems to be a day of success in terms of interventions. Now, please keep in mind that I'm not advising anyone to schedule anything medical around this time, because that's not exactly how electional astrology works. Electional astrology works a little bit differently. We have to choose a specific chart for that specific moment in time. We have to look at the ascendant for a specific day. We have to make sure that planets are in domicile and so on. But if you already had anything planned health-wise, it feels like you managed to fix whatever needs to be fixed health-wise. 11th of February, Mercury is conjunct Pluto and Capricorn in your second house. It was also conjunct on the 29th of January. Have a think about what was happening in your financial life around the 29th of January, because there's probably going to be a continuation around the 11th of February. If you have had to deal with a scammer or someone siphoning money out of your account, you may figure out where this was coming from around the 11th of February. You may also uncover, like a detective, very Plutonian in nature, you might also uncover around this time maybe an expense that you forgot about. Again, I'm offering you scenarios. It doesn't necessarily have to look this way, but remember the archetypal energy, Sagittarians. You know how we have subscriptions to all sorts of services, to the gym, to deliveries, and so on. You may realize that you had an ongoing subscription to something on the 11th of February or around the 11th of February that was pulling money out of your account, and you're actually not using that service any longer, or it's not something that you are planning to use moving forward. So it's like you find the root cause of what was taking money out of your account without you necessarily being consciously aware of it anymore, or you might have just forgotten it. 16th of February, 3 days before, 3 days after. I love this full moon. Yes. Because it's happening in Leo, because Leo is a sign that is trining you, so you're probably going to feel like super positive and super optimistic around this time. This full moon is triggering your axis of learning and traveling. First of all, Sagittarians, you might physically travel around this time. You might travel abroad or short distance, it doesn't matter, but it seems to be very pleasant. You seem to be enjoying the lot of it. If you've been waiting for results from exams, they will probably make their way to you, and they will probably be very positive results. I like this full moon because we've got Jupiter in Pisces in your 4th house, trining Uranus and sextiling Uranus and Taurus in your 6th house. It feels like you are being repaid for your efforts in the area of studies, most likely. It also feels like a time maybe when you finalize something of a legal nature, of a judicial nature, and you're finalizing it successfully, I have to say. It could be a time when you plan a travel, like a journey, a long-distance journey. You could also receive very positive news connected with visas, immigration, residency status. You could also get like a degree or a certificate around this time. Have a think about what was happening in your life, especially in the area of higher education, long-distance travel, legal matters, around the 8th of August, 3 days before, 3 days after in 2021, because that's when you had a new moon in this part of your chart that is now activated by the full moon. And at the time of the full moon, we reap what we sow, symbolically speaking, at the time of the new moon. 18th of February, the sun moves into Pisces in your 4th house for the next 4 weeks, pretty much. So your attention is going to be drawn tremendously to home matters, family matters, and such. You could travel throughout this period with family or to see family members. 25th of February, not my favorite day of the month, because Mercury in your 3rd house is squaring Uranus and Taurus in the 6th house. So it's a day of confusion and of annoying interactions, I can't describe them otherwise, with coworkers or with a client at work. A client might have some sort of sudden, unexpected request, or you might have thought that you were on the same page with a coworker on a project that you're working on together, and they come up with something that takes you by surprise. You didn't see this coming in terms of their approach, in terms of their vision for this project. You seem to disagree, and maybe quite openly. This is a very argumentative energy. I mean, Mercury in Aquarius is very fixed in terms of how they see things, in terms of ideas. Uranus in Taurus is radical and also very stubborn and very fixed. So I do see this as the energy of a potential argument. Be aware of it. Also, if you need to travel for work short distance, if you need to commute, there's probably going to be disruption on your commute or something of that type. If you are a Capricorn sun or a Capricorn rising, my dear Capricorns, what can you expect from this month? Well, money. Especially the first 3 weeks of February seem to revolve around the topic of money, because we have a very strong activation of your second house. Again, I am addressing first and foremost Capricorn risings. I do recommend listening to the update for your rising sign if you know your rising sign. We have a new moon on the 1st of February. 3 days before, 3 days after, in your second house of income, conjunct Saturn and squaring Uranus and Taurus in the 5th house. You may decide around this time, Capricorns, to very seriously and responsibly commit yourself, dedicate yourself to monetizing one of your creative talents. It may feel like it's now or never. It's like, I'm either going to do this or I'm never going to do it. This is it. You may also realize that you need to reevaluate your budget and maybe cut out of it some expenses that are not mandatory, that are not essential, let's say, because you have extra duties and responsibilities maybe towards a child. That's possible. You might also decide to reevaluate your budget and to make a new budget for the year ahead, because you want to maybe dedicate yourself more to making money out of an activity that you enjoy doing, but now you're thinking, how much money am I going to make out of it? I need to be careful with my expenses. I need to be cautious and so on. I need to focus on the essentials. I need to have money saved aside. So you generally take money very seriously, Capricorns, and the 3D material reality, as do all earth signs or people who have a very strong earth quality. It feels like you're taking this sort of responsible approach to finances one step further. And you're like, okay, I need to have a plan. It needs to be long-term. What are my goals? What am I trying to achieve here? What is unessential when it comes to expenses? What can I eliminate? You seem to be very excited, on the other hand, at the time of this new moon, because Uranus and Taurus in your 5th house of creative self-expression, of fun, of enjoyment, of passions, of hobbies, is forming a harmonious aspect with Venus and Mars in Capricorn in your 1st house of identity. So indeed, I see you, for instance, becoming much more aware of what you enjoy doing, and also deciding to reevaluate maybe what you spend your money on, what you spend your time on, what you allocate your resources to, because the 2nd house is indeed the house of income, but it's also the house of values, of what we value. So you're going through a process of reevaluating what you allocate your energy and resources to. 4th of February, very good day, because Mercury goes out of retrograde. Yay, finally. Mercury has been retrograde from the middle of January, and actually from the 26th of January until the 4th of February. It was moving through your 1st house. Mercury, for you Capricorns, rules your 6th house and your 9th house. You might have been feeling a little bit confused from the last week of January until the 4th of February as to where you're headed work-wise. You might have also had to deal with an old health-related issue, maybe something that has to do with your physical body. You may have had a relapse in terms of, let's say, unhealthy habits. So I'm going to give you an example. Maybe you decided to quit smoking, but throughout the Mercury retrograde, you felt like you really had to go back to that habit from the past because it was something that made you feel like yourself. We don't realize until we are faced with very strong emotions because of withdrawal symptoms or withdrawal syndrome. We don't realize how attached we are and how much comfort we get out of our habits. So you might have felt the need to go back to an old habit, healthy or unhealthy, when Mercury was retrograde in your first house. It feels like you're getting a lot more clarity as to whether this is really you or not after Mercury goes out of retrograde. And it probably isn't. If it was in your past, then it was probably in your past for a reason. You might have also reconsidered some of your work objectives throughout the Mercury retrograde period. And from the 4th of February onwards, it feels like you have more clarity as to where you're headed next work-wise. I like the fact that Mars in Capricorn in your first house is sextiling Jupiter in Pisces in the 3rd house on the 4th of February. It feels like you want to say something to the outside world. You want to communicate something very important about who you are and who you have become. You've had a lot of personal doubt to deal with, probably, my dear Capricorns, especially Capricorn risings, as Venus was going retrograde in your first house of identity, as Mercury was going retrograde, and it triggered this part of your chart. You may have felt like you were a little bit confused as to who you are, where you're headed, what you're doing with your life, what is truly aligned with your authentic sense of self and what isn't. And on the 4th of February, it feels like a light bulb moment. And it feels like you know what you want to do next. You know what you want to kick off next. You might also have something very powerful to share about your wants and about your desires and about your needs. Something very powerful to share with a few people. Family members in general, a parent, and also possibly siblings. This is a day when you seem to have very good ideas as to how you can present the person who you have become to the outside world. And some Capricorns might decide to just go out there and get a haircut, because let's face it, Mars moving through your first house does kind of like draw towards you like sharp tools. A haircut comes to mind. 8th of February, Mars in Capricorn in your first house is forming a harmonious aspect with Uranus and Taurus in the 5th house. A fabulous day for creative projects and for working on your own independently on a creative project. Also a fabulous, fabulous day to go out on a date. You're very seductive. You seem to have this sort of like magnetism. You seem to really click with someone. I would also recommend, if you can, to schedule some sort of time out for fun around the 8th of February. If it's not on the 8th of February, maybe the day before or the day after. You seem to be having a creative breakthrough around this time, by the way. So it's like, I have inspiration. Let me do this. 11th of February, Mercury is conjunct Pluto in Capricorn in your first house. This also happened on the 29th of January. Have a think about what came to your attention about yourself, about your fears, about what you're ashamed of, about what you're afraid of regarding your own experiences around the 29th of January, because there can be a continuation of that. So kind of like new information coming to your conscious attention around the 11th of February. If you have been dealing with anything of a health-related nature, let's see, as of the middle of January, you may discover what was causing it around the 11th of February. So it's like something is coming to the surface. The source of health issues is coming to the surface. And obviously, first we have to know what we're dealing with before we can treat anything physically, right? 16th of February, full moon in Leo, triggering your financial axis. Have a think about what was going on in August of 2021, around the 8th of August, 2021, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, because this full moon seems to be bringing to a peak the themes that were brought to your attention in August financially. Some of you might get paid. Some of you might cash in on an existing investment. Some of you might sell something. Some of you might enter or might formalize a contractual agreement with a partner that you're going to make money with. Some of you might decide to split assets with a partner in some shape or form. It feels like you're reaching a culminating moment in the area of sharing resources with someone else. Venus and Mars are conjunct in Capricorn in the first house. You are feeling ready for this to be over. You are feeling very confident in where you're headed next. You're feeling very proud of yourself. You're feeling very magnetic at this point in time, and you're like, yeah, let's get this done. Let's move forward. I know who I am. I know what my values are. I know what's important to me. It feels like a very liberating moment in a way. Some of you Capricorns might also receive a bonus around this time, or money on some sort of sale that involved two parties. Obviously, there's always two parties involved because there's like a buyer and a seller. But what I'm referring to is maybe you had some sort of joint asset together with someone else that you are selling around this time. 18th of February, the sun moves into Pisces for the next 4 weeks, illuminating the logical, rational mind, intellectual efforts, networking, communication, and literally a lot of comings and goings in your life, a lot of short trips to take, maybe a lot of errands to run. On the 18th of February, Jupiter in Pisces is sextiling Uranus in Taurus in your 5th house. If you have been writing something creative, it feels like you have a fabulous idea around this time. If you have been trying to persuade someone of something, once again, it feels like you're coming up with like a very creative way of putting forward your ideas, of selling your concept, and people are sold. It's also a great time to go out on a date or to have fulfilling or stimulating conversations with a romantic partner. 25th of February, a day of annoyance, not just for you, for everyone. Mercury in Aquarius in your 2nd house is squaring Uranus and Taurus in your 5th house. If you're going out around this time, or if you are having fun in one form or another, you might end up paying more than you bargained for. You might end up paying more than you thought you would pay. So if you are going out on a date, or if you are, I don't know, buying something nice for yourself, double, triple check that you have noticed, let's say, the correct price, the accurate price, so that you don't end up with, I don't know, like a huge bill at the end, or when you check your credit card statement, it's like, oh, that didn't cost $30, it cost $300. Something like that could happen. Consider yourselves warned, Capricorns. And that is February for you. My Aquarius brothers and sisters, Aquarius suns and Aquarius rising. So what does February look like for us? Well, the spotlight is pretty much on us until the 18th of February, when the sun moves into Pisces. The month kicks off with a new moon in our sign, conjunct Saturn and squaring Uranus and Taurus in the 4th house. The good news, or the more harmonious aspects that I'm looking forward to, are the following. Uranus in our 4th house of home is trining Venus and Mars in Capricorn in the 12th house. It feels like around the 1st of February, Aquarius, you are committing to some sort of a new personal goal. You are committing to doing something for yourself, for your long-term growth, for your long-term development. You are probably committing to some sort of personal project that requires a great deal of discipline, consistency, time, energetic resources. You could commit, for instance, to also make some sort of change when it comes to your approach to your physical body, your self-image, your sense of self-worth. You could become aware around this time of a need to work on something on a very 3D material reality plane, of the need to work on something that will make you feel physically better, healthier, I'd say. Now, this is something that you're going to have to work on for a long time, at least for the next few months. So it's not a change that happens overnight. It's not a personal project that happens overnight. However, Saturn is the planet of necessity and of responsibility. So if you don't commit to this sort of work that you need to do for yourself and for your own health, I'll just say it ain't looking that good. I mean, you may encounter all sorts of challenges on a physical level and on a personal level that bring you back to square one. the answer to Saturn generally is more Saturn. So whatever you're afraid of, whatever you're scared of, whatever you need to do, whatever you know you need to do because it's a requirement, it's a must, I'd say just do it. And be aware that it will take time. You might also decide around this time to draw some sort of boundary between you and a family member, or to embrace a path for yourself where you know you're not necessarily going to get the approval of a parent or of a family member, but it's just who you are. It's just who you feel like you have to become for you over time, regardless of what the outside world says and regardless of what parents say also. It's a bit of a tricky one. You may not necessarily be feeling very optimistic or very excited at the time of this new moon, but on a deep subconscious, intuitive level, Aquarians, you probably know that it's the right thing to do. You probably know that it's time to get it together, as they say. And sometimes getting it together involves drawing clear boundaries between ourselves and others. 4th of February, Mercury goes out of retrograde in your 12th house. You might not have been having the easiest of times mental health-wise, especially as of the middle of January, my dear Aquarians. Mercury for you rules, let's see, your 5th house and your 8th house. Literally, you've probably dealt with some deep, transformative weeks from a psychological and mental health standpoint. You might have had all sorts of old demons coming to your attention. You might have had to really probe into your shadow, into your blind spots. You might have had to deal with insomnia, for instance. You might have had to deal with fears connected with intimacy in the past 3 weeks. Well, it's getting easier and you seem to be feeling in a much better place mental health-wise from the 4th of February onwards. On the 4th of February, Mars in Capricorn in your 12th house is sextiling Jupiter in Pisces in the 2nd house. I mean, on this day, you could have some sort of aha moment, some sort of revelation about your worth and about what really matters to you, and also about one of your inner resources, maybe an inner resource that you weren't necessarily hyper aware of. Maybe you just took it for granted. Maybe you never really capitalized on that sort of inner resource. It feels like you're finding a source of inner strength and resilience, and you realize, okay, this is actually something that I'm good at. I know how to deal with these types of things. I know how to act or how to react, or I know how to keep it together, or I know how to move forward in times of confusion and crisis. You could also receive some sort of unexpected payment around this date, just because maybe you forgot about it, or maybe you weren't counting on ever getting that payment in your bank account. So a very nice surprise around this time. 8th of February, Mars in Capricorn is going to trine Uranus and Taurus in your 4th house. If you have been feeling, let's say, like something in your home sector isn't moving forward the way that you want it to move forward, and you just gave up, or you put it on the back burner, or you said, you know what, when the time comes, and I'll just deal with it. Then forces, unseen forces, the universe outside of your control, seems to be bringing a solution to your doorstep. So sometimes we need to realize that we just gotta surrender and make peace with the fact that things don't happen at the times that we thought they would happen. And when we disconnect ourselves from the pressure of the outcome, sometimes it just feels like the puzzle falls into place miraculously. So you might experience something like that, like some sort of unexpected solution coming to your table around the 8th of February when it comes to an issue that you are dealing with in private, in your home. If you have been having difficulties communicating with a parent, You may feel like you are making peace, or you may feel like reaching out to a parent around this time, or really taking the initiative to saying, let's find a way to make this work. Let's fix this. Let's figure out a way to live together and to agree to disagree. And if you do feel like taking that sort of initiative, it will probably work very much in your favor. This could also be a day maybe when something gets solved in the house, connected with electronics, connected with the internet, connected with technology. 11th of February, Aquarians, Mercury is conjunct Pluto and Capricorn in your 12th house, just as it was on the 29th of January. Something is probably going to come to your attention, maybe a continuation of a hidden piece of information that came to your attention, also around the 29th of January. If you dealt with something from a mental health perspective around the 29th of January, around the 11th of February, it may feel like you're getting much more clarity as to what part of you caused maybe some sort of, I don't want to call it mental breakdown, but maybe some very dark times mentally. And now you're realizing, this is where it's coming from. This is what I'm dealing with, or this is what I need to put to rest, or this is what I need to symbolically bury, or this is what I need to make peace with that was buried deep down inside my psyche. You could also hear something around this time, around the 11th of February. By the way, the 11th of February is my birthday, fellow Aquarians, just so you know. Just so that you can wish me happy birthday. Something could come to your attention around this time. Maybe something that you refuse to see about what you really enjoy, what you really love, what you really want to have in your life. Not because society says so, not because everyone else has it, but because it brings fulfillment, personal fulfillment. It brings joy into your life. It brings energy into your life. And maybe you are ashamed to recognize or to acknowledge that to yourself. Don't get me started on shame. Shame is the lowest type of emotion when it comes to vibrational energy. When we keep ourselves in a low vibration, that's when we get sick. That's when our immune system doesn't work properly. What are you ashamed of, Aquarius? And what are you afraid to acknowledge to yourself? Have a think about that around the 11th of February. I've gotten very deep all of a sudden. 16th of February. 3 days before, 3 days after, you have a full moon triggering your relationship axis, 7th house, 1st house, and I like that Jupiter in Pisces is going to be harmoniously aspecting Uranus and Taurus in your fourth house. It feels like you are reaching some sort of culminating moment in your partnership sector. Now, for some people, this could mean sealing the deal on a business partnership, so agreeing to collaborate with someone, despite there having been maybe a lot of obstacles along the way, a lot of unknown elements coming to the surface, a lot of back and forth. You could be signing a business agreement around this time, and a very lucrative one at that. Some Aquarians might meet someone that they want to enter into a romantic relationship with at this point in time. It feels like your attention is very much focused towards the area of partnerships. It also feels like your partner could have very good news for you at this point in time that make you feel like you are with the person that you should be with, or that you really have a future with moving forward. So you can reach a new level of commitment in your relationships around this time, in your personal relationships. I do recommend looking back at what you were doing relationship-wise around the 8th of August, whether you met someone, whether you connected with someone, whether you started working on something together with a partner, whether you made some sort of plan together with a partner, or whether your partner, your life partner, maybe kicked off something on their own, and that's reaching a peak around the 16th of February, and it seems to be a very positive result that your partner is getting for what they have been focusing on in the past 6 months. 18th of February, the sun moves into Pisces in your second house of values and self-worth and income for the next 4 weeks. I'm telling you, you're going to be very focused on how you make money, how you spend money, on increasing your budget, on increasing your income for the next 4 weeks. On this date, Jupiter in Pisces is sextiling Uranus and Taurus exactly. It feels like maybe you are receiving some sort of opportunity to work from home or to increase your income in such a way that you can maybe afford a new house, or that maybe you can afford a more luxurious lifestyle. I don't know. What does luxurious mean? It looks like around this time, you may also decide to be very generous financially with a family member. And they do say that we attract more in our life of what we feel like we already have a lot of. So if you're feeling generous, do help a parent, do help a family member, do give to someone, because that's sending the message out into the universe saying, I'm rich, I have enough, I'm prosperous, there is a lot of financial abundance in my life, and that's likely to bring even more financial abundance in your life. Essentially, that's how the law of attraction works, which a lot of people are trying to kind of like explain in very complicated ways. The universe gives you more of what you think you are and what you think you have and how you feel already. So if you're feeling generous and prosperous and rich, you're probably going to attract more of that. 25th of February, not my favorite day. Mercury in Aquarius is squaring Uranus and Taurus in your 4th house. This could bring maybe a misunderstanding with a family member. It could also bring maybe to your attention something that a family member might have said, and it hurts your feelings, and you thought you were on the same page, but actually you're not. You could have an open disagreement with a family member. You probably won't agree around this time. Agree to disagree, let's say. You could also have some sort of maybe opposing views or conflicting views with a family member around this time when it comes to the topic of loans, debts, taxes, inheritances, and so on. There could also be an unexpected expense that comes your way, something connected with a home. So, I don't know, maybe you forgot to pay your subscription for something, the bill for something, and you're like, how could I forget that? And that, my dear Aquarians, is February for you. Now, if you are a Pisces sun or a Pisces rising, my lovely Pisces, what does February look like for you? Well, I have to say until the 18th of February, when the sun moves into Pisces, you're probably going to be feeling a little bit low on energy. You're probably also going to be feeling like you're going through a process of releasing certain parts of your life, certain structures of your life. You may be feeling a bit alone, a bit on your own, maybe a little bit isolated. I wouldn't necessarily say that you are feeling in the best of moods to socialize, to get together with people. It may feel like you need to spend a lot of time on your own, figuring out who you are on your own, figuring out what's been eating you on the inside, figuring out your mental health and what's been negatively impacting your mental health, especially around the 1st of February. 1st of February, 3 days before, 3 days after, you have a new moon in Aquarius in your 12th house, conjunct Saturn, and square Uranus and Taurus in the 3rd house. You might decide to commit to something for the long term around this time, Pisces, that will help improve your mental health. It could be some sort of talking therapy, so you could reach out to a therapist. It could also be you getting very serious about setting up some sort of habit or routine when it comes to your mental health. You don't necessarily like it, but it feels like a bit of a must. It feels like something that you should do because Saturn generally puts that sort of pressure on us. You may feel like you've lost a friend around this time. I'm going to be very frank, Pisces. Or you may feel like you no longer resonate with a friend or with a group of people in your life, and it feels painful to acknowledge that. But on the other hand, it also feels like the honest thing to acknowledge to yourself. Why a friend? Because Saturn also rules your 11th house of friendships. You could also, around this time, join some sort of group of people that are dealing with the same type of private suffering that you're dealing with. So it could be something of a mental health related nature. It could be something connected with an old wound or a trauma. And now it feels like, okay, I'm going to do this, but I need support. So I'm going to get together with people that are dealing with the same type of suffering, of addiction, and so on. I like the fact that Uranus in your third house is trining Venus and Mars in Capricorn in the 11th house at the time of this new moon. So let's put it this way. If you need to eliminate a group of people out of your life, do it at this point in time, but also look around you and ask yourself, who do I truly resonate with right now? And if you're dealing with anything of a painful nature privately, it may help to share that with someone or with a group of people that have been going through a similar situation. So some sort of support group, I'd say. 4th of February, very good day because Mercury goes out of retrograde, finally. So Mercury has been going retrograde from the middle of January. It goes out of retrograde in your 11th house. If you have been having a bit of a lack of clarity as to where you're headed in terms of long-term goals, also, if you've been feeling like there's a lack of clarity as to where you stand, maybe with regards to a group type of project or a collaboration with a wider group of people, you're probably going to get some clarity around the 4th of February and in the few days after. On the 4th, Mars in Capricorn in your 11th house is sextiling Jupiter in Pisces in the 1st house. You might have someone from a group of people reaching out to you and saying, now we get it. Now we understand what you're trying to do here. We are on the same page now. So if there's been challenges with sending your message across towards your collaborators and with feeling like your friends really understand where you're coming from, you could literally have a friend reach out to you around the 4th of February and say, okay, I can see what was happening in your life. I can see what you were going through. We appreciate that it wasn't maybe what we thought you were going through to start with. We appreciate that there may have been some sort of misunderstanding that we had to deal with as a group. 8th of February, a really good day. Mars in Capricorn in your 11th house is trining Uranus and Taurus in the 3rd house. Mars for you, Pisces, rules your 2nd house of income. You may receive a phone call or you may have someone reach out to you with an opportunity to collaborate on a project that pays. This is also a time when, if you're working with a wider group of people, they could have ideas, some very innovative, some very unconventional ideas that get you thinking and that help you maybe get out of a rut or out of a blockage connected with one of your long-term goals. So I would recommend talking to people around this time about what you want to do next. Talk to your friends, talk to your colleagues, talk to the people around you, because they may give you that extra kind of element, ingredient that helps you move forward faster. If you're presenting something to a wider group of people on this day, if you're trying to sell something, if you are in an audience type of setup, you're probably going to feel like you've got the best words with you and your message is very powerful. Your message really hits the mark. It's a great day for lobbying, for instance. It is a great day for sales also. 11th of February, Mercury is conjunct Pluto in Capricorn in your 11th house, just like it was on the 29th of January. Something that came already to your attention around the 29th of January may come back to your attention around the 11th of February, or you may feel like there's a continuation of the themes that you are dealing with around the 29th of January. You may hear that a friend betrayed you, or you may feel betrayed by a friend, or a friend might have some sort of secret to reveal to you. This could take you a little bit by surprise. You might not have seen this coming. This seems to be coming your way from the left-hand side field. I'm making words up, folks. Once again, I'm making up expressions. You may feel hurt That's what I'm sensing. That's what I'm sensing here. It's almost like you see in a friend, maybe right now an adversary. But it's good to know who your adversaries are. It's good to know who is with you and who is not with you. It's good to know who was maybe two-faced, let's say. I always think it's better to know the truth rather than to live in a beautiful and transparent lie. On the 16th of February, we have a full moon triggering your axis of service. You may end a work-related project. Something may come to a close. You might also leave a job at this point in time, Pisces. It's very possible. You've done a lot of soul searching in the past, ever since the year started. You have reevaluated your goals, you have reevaluated your objectives, you have reevaluated what's been impacting you negatively on a mental health level. You might decide to say sayonara to a job. If you do, because you're feeling optimistic and positive about what's next in your life in terms of new journeys, new adventures, new endeavors, I will say this. You've got your back covered this year by Jupiter, the great benefic. Jupiter is placed in your first house, is transiting the sign of Pisces throughout most of 2022. I did a separate video on that. If there was ever a time to take a chance and to take a risk in a new direction life-wise, it's this year, Pisces. So be honest with yourself and don't be afraid, and do embark upon a new life journey, I'd say, this year. And that's going to mean different things for different people. Also look back at what you started in the area of work around the 8th of August, because this could be culminating and ending around the 6th of August, around the 16th of February, very successfully. You could also end a treatment, a physical treatment around the 16th of February, something that had to do with your health, very successfully once again. It's like you feel like a new person. 18th of February, the sun moves into Pisces in your first house. For the next 4 weeks, you are feeling energized. You are feeling full of vitality. You are feeling like a fresh person, a new person, because your energy levels were a bit down in the past 4 weeks. 25th of February, Mercury in Aquarius in your 12th house is squaring Uranus and Taurus in the 3rd house. This to me spells disruption on the road, unexpected disruption on the road, I'd say. If you are also looking to, let's say, plan some sort of short distance trip with a partner, because Mercury also rules your 7th house of partnerships. There could be some sort of inconvenience that comes up, or maybe your partner last minute says, I don't actually want to go there, or I don't actually like that place. Also, I would drive carefully and slowly on this day, and I would maybe take extra kind of like time when it comes to reaching your workplace, when it comes to reaching your home, when it comes to any sort of commute that you have to make, because Uranus is the unexpected, and Mercury is connected with transportation, it's connected with sales. Also, if you were waiting for a package, it might not arrive today, or it could arrive, I don't know, at a neighbor's house, so it is worth asking around. And that is February, folks. I want to thank you once again for joining me for the monthly horoscope. Don't forget that you can work with me. You can book a personalized reading and consultation on my website, written in the stars-astrology.com. That's the only place where you can book a consultation with me. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram as well, at RUX Unbelievable. That's Rux Unbelievable. Enjoy February and let us know in the comments how it goes. Bye.